today is the final day before demo day, which is tomorrow. So I think I'm just gonna try to work a little bit on the site. I think I'm not gonna do any changes, to be honest, because to do any big changes is gonna take a lot of time. But I think I'm gonna try to change the visualization a little bit, and also forgot to put the chats. Also, there was something wrong, I think, with the way that when you put a library to run, it wasn't running. I was testing the deployed version. So I'm not really sure if I fixed that and then I just didn't deploy or not. So I think I'm gonna see that as well. So I've been trying to make it work with translating everything to a functional component, but it's a little bit frustrating, to be honest, because it's not working here. And I think the reason why it's not working is because I'm creating the container here, and I'm not really sure how it works. Because on the class components, they create here and they use the instance of the app that is part of the class. So I was watching a lecture and then trying to move everything from a class component to a function component to see if that's gonna fix the problem with the rendering. But and also there's something really weird here, and that's another reason why I think that it's gonna be a lot harder to solve, which is frustrating because then like I'm not really sure how long I'm gonna have to work on this until I figure out how to make it work with the custom React reconciler. But the weird thing about this is that here, if I go, like it seems to be working, but then if I click here, it doesn't show anything. And the weird thing is that if I comment this out and I save, then it gives the error and loads everything. So I have no idea why that's happening. But I think I don't have enough time to try to make it work with the function component. So I'm gonna have to move back to the class component, and then I'm just gonna change some things about the visualization now and try to see if I can fix, or if it is fixed already, the stuff that when you import a library here is giving an error. It is saying that it can't execute string or something like that. So I'm gonna have to see if I can make it work. But it looks like it's not gonna work. Like the main fundamental problem is not that they're using a class component and the way that the class component renders is different than the function component. It's something else that is wrong. And also didn't have enough time to continue to study the React source code because I had to do the video for the demo day. So, and I spent some time doing other stuff as well. So I think I'm gonna go back to studying that right after the demo day, probably on Sunday or probably Monday actually, because Sunday there is an event as well that they're gonna do with the top 32, which I think is gonna be interesting. Not sure if I'm gonna go because I might have something else to do in the time, but if I don't have anything to do, then I think I'm gonna go because I think it's gonna be really fun. So, and really interesting as well to see like how it's gonna work. So I think I'm just gonna put the the way that I work is once I start doing something I really want to finish, is like it's very hard for me to concentrate on things that I don't like, or that, but like once I put in my mind that I want to fix something, it's very hard for me to deviate from that. So now I'm kind of stuck on this thing trying to fix it, but I think I'm gonna have to go back to the normal stage and just change like minor things about the visualization, things like that. So I think what I can do is just comment the destroy app there and then leave it like this, like the bugged version for now. And Also, the other thing I have to see is if I stop the bubbling, if I if I call stop propagation on the matter.js, I also have to see how to do that. If I make it accept an event, yeah, I think the event listener accepts the an argument, and then you have to stop propagation on the argument. I think it's event.target. Then you can just read the documentation. It's not that hard, I think. But what is happening is that the events, the event on the canvas is overriding the event on the node, I think. And I suspect it's because of event propagation, but I'm not 100% sure. So there's been a long time since I haven't worked on this because I spent all this time studying the React source code, so I don't even remember anymore. Where is the page? This stuff is all related to viewport, then these are components that I did. I think I'm just gonna delete these fake components that I did here just to test the rendering cycle only after I finish, after I solve the problem. Also, like there's an interesting thing, I got some mistake and then I got a call stack from the mistake and then I put it into a file. And I think that's gonna be really useful to use to continue to study the React source code. I have these two call stacks here. And now after studying a lot, I recognize some of these function calls here, which is a good sign. Also, I put more functions that I realized that I didn't have there, that I skipped for some reason. I put more functions on the flowchart. And it looks like this commit root implementation is the main function that's gonna do the actual, is gonna start the actual work, and it's gonna call a lot of the functions that exist on the configuration of the React reconciler. Yeah, it's very hard to study the source code because a lot of times feels like there is a lot of things that are missing and like it's not explicit on the source code, and it feels like somehow magically it happens in the application. And this is the stuff that I'm struggling a lot to understand, so how to bridge the gap between the two. Hopefully I'll be able to fix, but I have no idea how long it's gonna take. So here to stop, the problem is that the events on matter.js, I think. That's the issue. So I don't remember. I think I didn't install locally the matter.js. I'm using the version with npm. So the problem is I can't change the source code, so I'm gonna have to install that version, I think, locally. I'm gonna copy the files probably from matter.js. Just see if I can change the code so that it uses, so that it doesn't, the events don't bubble. I'm not 100% sure if that's the reason as well, but I think it's worth trying. Just see if that's gonna fix. Because if it does, it's a very easy solution. So I just have to remember, I think it's on the mouse that is gonna add the events through the mouse constraint, but I don't understand really well how it does that. I think I remember looking in the source code at some point. I think it wasn't on this file. Yeah, it was here. And this is the issue, is that when I have to download everything and use locally. So I think here I would have to do the stop propagation. And this is the create on the events themselves. I have to do it. Events, stop propagation. Mouse move, mouse down. And this article, I'm not sure if I did it on stream, but if I, probably not. There's, these articles here are very good. It's something very basic, but it's very hard to find. Like all the time that I studied JavaScript, looking at the videos, tutorials, stuff like that, courses, I think maybe they talked about it and I don't remember, but I don't remember any of them talking about this. And it's a relatively simple thing, I think. But very useful to know. Forgot where it was. Bubbling and capture here.
Tutorial. Browser. Document. Events. Interfaces. Introduction to events. Bubbling.
The other thing I'm contemplating is whether or not I should apply to the next version of Nights and Weekends. I feel like it helps you a lot. I definitely wouldn't be at the point that I'm at now if I wasn't part of the Nights and Weekends, because it helps you push a lot further. But the challenging thing is that, especially for the thing I'm doing, and this is something that I've been thinking about as well, because I don't really know. I feel like I tried my best and I didn't get really far, but I'm not really sure if that's like a rationalization. But I think like the thing that I'm trying to do is very difficult for my current level of skill. So like there might be a lot of challenges along the way that is very hard to predict how long it's gonna take me for me to solve. And I think that the custom React reconciler is a perfect example of this. That's like, I feel like it doesn't make sense to try to rush that. It feels like 6 weeks is not that big of a time, and putting a time limit as well in some ways makes it harder, because it feels like you're trying to rush everything, like trying to build a very tall building with a shitty foundation just to build it fast. So that's the most challenging thing, I think. Like it's very hard to know if you are ready to, like if your project and the stage you are makes sense to be a part of that, or if it hurts you more than it helps you. And I think that's the main thing that I'm thinking about now, is like whether or not, because after I solve all of this stuff, there's still like a lot of mountains to climb. And the main mountain is going to be trying to build the interpreters and compilers for JavaScript and Python, and figuring out ways to capture the information from the files and the scripts. And the biggest thing about this is that I don't know how hard it's gonna be. So like my concern is that, because I don't wanna apply to the thing and then like I don't know, come out of it with something that is not very good, let's say. So yeah. Hey, what's up? I don't know how to say your name. Usual Kimmer?
Capturing. Let's start with an example. This handler is assigned to div, but also runs if you click any nested tag like m or code. Div on click equals alert the handler. Greater than m if you click on code m slash code the handler on code div slash code runs. Less than slash m slash div. Isn't it a bit strange? Why does the handler on div run if the actual click was on m? Bubbling. The bubbling principle is simple. When an event happens on an element, it first runs the handlers on it, then on its parent, then all the way up on other ancestors. Let's say we have 3 nested elements.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like on the video, like I didn't wanna, the video of the last video, I think I'm gonna make it public on the channel. They said to wait until the demo day to post, but like the feeling that I get when I was making the video is that I'm like kind of making a lot of excuses, and I'm like, because I don't have a lot of stuff to show, that's the problem. So like but at the same time, I feel like I've tried really hard to build this stuff. So like the thing that I think it happens is just that the stuff that I'm trying to do is like, because I'm completely new to it, it's very hard for my skill level. So in one way, I think from the outside looking in, like from the people outside looking into the stuff that I'm doing, for them, it might feel like it's nothing. And this is the stuff this is why I'm not sure if it makes sense or not. But from my point of view, like I think I'm really proud of everything that I was able to build during this time. So because I think that the main difference is like, if it would be completely different if I had a lot of experience in what I'm trying to do, and then I think I would be able to do a lot more in 6 weeks. I think that's the main thing. So that's the biggest challenge in trying to know like if applying to the next one is going to be the right decision or not, because I don't want to apply and then get to the same point that I feel like it doesn't seem like I built anything, and that's the problem, even though I'm putting a lot of work. So because there might be some challenges along the way that it's very hard to predict, like how long it's gonna take to be able to do it. Yo, thanks man, thanks a lot.
Form greater than div greater than p with a handler on each of them. Style body, margin, 10px, border, 1px solid blue, slash style form on click equals alert form greater than form div on click equals alert div greater than div p on click equals alert p greater than p slash div slash form. On that p, then on the outer div, then on the outer form, and so on upwards till the document object. So if we click on p, then we'll see 3 alerts, p div form. The process is called bubbling, because events bubble from the inner element up through parents like a bubble in the water. Almost all events bubble. The key word in this phrase is almost. For instance, a focus event does not bubble. There are other examples too. We'll meet them, but still it's an exception. Rather than a rule, most events do bubble. Event.target. A handler on a parent element can always get the details about where it actually happened. The most deeply nested element that caused the event is called a target element. Accessible as event.target. Note the differences from this. Equals event.currentTarget. Event.target is the target element that initiated the event. It doesn't change through the bubbling process. This is the current element, the one that has a currently running handler on it. For instance, if we have a single handler form.onClick, then it can catch all clicks inside the form. No matter where the click happened, it bubbles up to form and runs the handler. In form.onClick, handler, this equals event.currentTarget is the form element because the handler runs on it. Event.target is the actual element inside the form that was clicked. Check it out. Result script.js.example.syndex.nightmaform.onClick equals function event. Event.target.style.background color equals yellow. / Chrome needs some time to paint yellow set timeout. Equals greater than alert target equals plus event.target.tag name plus this equals plus this dot tag name. Event.target.style.background color equals 0 form background color. It's possible that event.target could equal this. It happens when the click is made directly on the form element. Stopping bubbling. A bubbling event goes from the target element straight up. Normally it goes upwards till HTML, and then to document object, and some events even reach window, calling all handlers on the path. But any handler may decide that the event has been fully processed and stop the bubbling. The method for it is event.stopPropagation. For instance, here body.onClick doesn't work if you click on button body. OnClick equals alert the bubbling doesn't reach here. Greater than button OnClick equals event.stopPropagation greater than click me / button.
Yeah, so that's what I have to do, I think, here. Just put event stop propagation. The problem is I'm gonna have to download this and see if it still works. If I use the local version. And I'm gonna have to change all the names, I think, as well. Because this library is kind of weird with the way that they do the imports as well. So I'm trying to think if there's anything that I can do that is easier than this. Then installing everything on the local project, and then changing the source code. Because I'm gonna have to think about the structure of this stuff. Because they are using require, which is common.js. And I'm gonna use ESM, I think, is the name. So I'm gonna have to change everything. Is there an easier way to... I think I'm just gonna download this. Maybe I should look into their repository, see if there's a... Maybe it's better to install directly from here instead of copying the version that I have there. Maybe before I do that, I, part of me, like, to be honest, I don't want to do this. I just want to fix the other thing. It's a lot more interesting to me. Because a much bigger block. I think this is another thing that is kind of weird, but it goes back to the whole thing about... And it is a challenging thing. Like, this is the thing about not knowing, like, the balance between working on a bunch of stuff that you can't really show right away. Because one approach is to just work on this stuff on the surface, which is the CSS and HTML, and the way that the website looks. And I think that at first, this makes you... It increases the chances that people are going to use your stuff. But the problem is, if you don't have a very strong foundation, then it's like you're just... I feel like it's a worse thing. Like, you should first work on the foundation, and then once you have a strong foundation, then you're ready to scale the thing. I think that's the biggest, like, debate that I have on my mind. And it comes down to this very difficult issue when it comes to Buildspace of knowing whether or not, like, either you are on the right skill level or the stuff that you're trying to do is on the right skill level for you. I think this is the biggest thing that's, like, the biggest challenge I have when deciding to be there or not, or to... Because the way that I'm working here on this thing, like, I don't want to make it the priority to ship things if I don't understand how they work. That's the problem. And it feels like through the Buildspace project, and the thing is, like, I understand their point of view. It's like, it's not that they are wrong or right. It's just more a question of, like, does the thing you're trying to do and your skill level fits the paradigm of their program? That's the thing. Because their program is about, like, shipping fast and getting users. Like, that's the thing. So, but in my situation, I'm not really sure if I'm... Because obviously I want to do that as well. But I'm more concerned with understanding the fundamentals first. So I think, like, Buildspace would be very good once I had everything, like, once I really understand Matter.js, once I really understand React Pixie and the React source code and how the reconciler works, and once I understand how to do the interpreters and things like that, because then I have all the pieces, and then I think it makes sense to build this stuff in 6 weeks and try to get users and all this stuff. So, like, this is the thing that I'm... Yeah, so, yeah, I think I'm gonna think about... I'm not really sure when is the next one, but I think it's, like, probably 2 weeks from now, or... I think it's very close, probably. But if during that time, if I can get to a point where I think that I've learned enough to be able to build a lot of things, then I think I'm gonna apply. But if not, I think I'm gonna just focus on getting the foundations really strong first. And then if they have other programs, then I apply. But obviously, I think it's very good to be a part of Buildspace, of the Nights and Weekends program. I think it helps you a lot in a very different, a lot of, I don't know how to say that, in a lot of ways, a lot of different ways. Maybe what I should try to change first here is just the way the visualization works, the way that it looks, which is the easiest thing to do. Just change the colors and the size there. Like the thing is, what I have to do now is just to download this stuff and then put the star propagation here. But I don't. My mind's not. I think it's just because of the way that my mind works as well. Like once I have a problem like this, then I just want to fix that problem, and I don't want to think about the other stuff because it doesn't matter to me. Like the way that the website looks, or like if people are gonna use it or not, because I don't think like if I don't know that stuff, then I'm not ready yet to have people using it because then I can't iterate fast enough, I think. But it might be just a rationalization. Yeah. It's hard to know. So I think to change the size, I need to change the values that I'm pressing there. After I fix this, then I also can think about the changing to composition. Those are the main things that I have to really understand well, I think, before I even concern myself with improving the CSS and the way that stuff looks, because I think that's just a consequence. Like the cause is the main foundation of the thing, which is the physics engine, the visualization, the renderer, and the interpreter. That kind of stuff is the hard part. I don't know how to make this look bigger. It looks like it is not working here as well. So I guess it's just getting the default values, but it's a weird thing. It's not even using this fill style. I think I got this one from the example, but I'm not really sure why it's here. This stuff I'm just gonna have to look into the Canvas documentation as well. This is another stuff that I think goes back to what I was talking about. It's just like, it doesn't even matter to me that much at this point, because until I haven't figured the other stuff out, it feels like this is just a consequence of like the main foundation of everything. Because like I guess it's the whole iteration thing. Like it's a lot easier because it has to do with mass and gravitational force and momentum, I think, the laws of physics. So like if your problem is on the surface, the way that the website looks, then iterating is very easy. But if the problem is with something that I don't really understand really well, then I think that's the issue, because then you can't really go very fast because you don't have the foundations. So let's say you get people to try it, but then like a lot of them don't stick around. Then it's just gonna take a huge ass time for you to do an update, because you have to go through all this process. I think that's the main takeaway, I think, that I have from all the 6 weeks, is because like first you need to really understand the main fundamental things, and then once you get those things down, then I think it makes sense to be part of the Nights and Weekends program, because then you can iterate very fast and make a lot of changes based on the feedback that you receive. But I think that like it is a good thing regardless to be a part of it. That's the thing, because even if you like, it's free, and even if you fail, you push yourself a lot more than you would if you wasn't a part of it. So I think in one way it is worth it to just apply and to be part of it, even if you don't get anything out of it, because you are getting something out of it, which is like the whole progress you make during the 6 weeks. It really helps you push yourself further. I think there's no way I would be able to do as much as I did if I wasn't part of it, because you definitely feel the pressure to, at least I feel, I'm not sure if everyone that participated felt that way. I think most people don't, because they like, it's not that important to them. But for me, like if I commit to doing it, especially because I'm doing in public, then I have to do the updates, and that forces myself to just push myself more than I would normally. But it is also, again, like one of those double-edged swords, because you don't want to... It's very similar to when you're training in the gym. Like, it's okay to have periods of time where you're working out very, very hard. But if you try to do that consistently for years, you're not going to last. You're just going to quit. So it's always best to balance the hard work sessions with low periods of low intensity, and you go that in cycles, because that way you maintain the consistency, but you're also maintaining the progressive overload, which is another problem that a lot of people have, because most people just have the consistency. They don't try to push themselves, their boundaries, so they never grow. So, but then you have other people on the extreme that they are constantly trying to push, and then that makes them break down, because they're coming from a place of fear. So it's less effective. So I think the balance is like both of them. But I think probably I will apply to, hopefully they let me be a part of the next one, if there is a next one. I think there most likely be a next one, and obviously I'm going to continue to work on this, but I hope that it takes at least 1 month or something like that, so that way I have some time to really study the stuff that I don't know now. So on the next one I'm able to do a lot more than I did on this one, hopefully. Yeah, this looks even worse than. The thing is that these lines, what makes, so there's two things. One is that obviously is that the surface here, and the other thing is that it's just a straight line. There isn't any, so I have to add the composition for that. But then this is another big problem because of the way the context works when you're using this stuff. Because then it goes back into the React reconciler thing, which is like this main thing that I'm trying to solve. Because the way that it works is that the app and everything that happens inside of the app is rendered by the custom reconciler. So it puts everything on the custom reconciler that is related to the app. And then the other parts of the application are rendered by the normal React DOM. So in order to be able to manipulate the graph really well, I have to understand how the rendering works at a deep level, I think, at the source code. So this is the reason why I think that it doesn't make a lot of sense to do anything else right now. Instead, besides studying the React source code, I'm trying to understand. This is this thing though. It's just the transparency. And this looks kind of nice as well. So let me think. Maybe I should just download this stuff. And I think definitely I'm not gonna focus on this stuff after Saturday. I'm gonna go back to studying the React source code and trying to understand how. The problem is now that I have more. It seems like it's gonna be more challenging because I have to understand how to use the custom reconciler on the function component, because I want to move everything to a functional component. I think that's a better way to do things. So here they're doing everything with the class. So I need with the functional components it's a lot cleaner to do it. So I think it's a better way. But the weird thing about the way that they are doing here is that they're using this function, which this function creates the context provider, and they pass here, and then they use this function to pass inside of the update container on the custom React reconciler. And that's the stuff that I don't know how it works. So like they create the main container based on the app, they stage of the app, and then they update the container. And then the way that I did that on the functional components is to put this stuff inside of a use effect. Because based on the lecture that I was seeing, that's how they recommend you to do. And you can have multiple use effects instead of a function. So this part of the lifecycle should be done on the use effect in a functional component. But I did this way there and it is not working. And I don't understand why. So like on top of figuring out the error that I was already getting before, which is the rendering cycle, now I have to figure this out as well. But I think one thing that is going to help is this call stack here that I forgot that I had as well from the other one. Because now I studied a lot of these functions, so I know several of these functions are being called in the first render there, the flowchart that I have. So I think what I'm going to do after Sunday probably is just like pick the name of all these functions and then spend a bunch of time trying to understand how they work. And maybe I could put the debugger here on this application as well, and then try to go over the source code in React on this component when I get the error. I think that's going to be very helpful as well. I think I'm gonna delete this demo and the SVG. This is index.html. It's probably stuff related to examples and other things like that. Hopefully. I should have done this before. Now I have to. Oh, okay, works. And that's the thing though. It's like how I'm gonna import. I think I'm gonna have to import everything separately. Because the way that it's importing there with the other version is after it transpiles everything using, I think, rollup or something like that it uses to put everything on the same file so you can import. And this is the thing, I think I'm gonna have to change a bunch of stuff there because the way that the closures work on Matter.js, on the version you get from npm. One of the problems could be this function because I was having a problem trying to think about how to translate the props. Because here they use this.props, which is the props from this React component. And there you receive the props as an argument. So I destructured everything like this so I can put this as default values for these ones. But then on this function here, if you do like that, then it messes up when you use this function. Because then you don't have the props keyword. So this might be one thing that I can try to see if it's going to render there. But I think the main thing is still understanding how the custom reconciler is going to render things. Because on this component, it's just rendering the canvas. And this is the weird thing. Like the equivalent of the render in a functional component is just a return statement. So I just put the canvas there, but then like how does it work? There's obviously a difference there, I think, because otherwise I would be getting something on the screen, I think. So there is a difference in the way that and it goes back to the updates, the way that React updates components. So this is the weird part, I think, because it makes the parent to be this class. There I'm using this as well, so maybe that's the issue. And then it makes this node be the parent, and then it gets the children based on which is going to be that function that creates that provider. So I don't get why here it renders on the functional component it doesn't. And here I think I'm gonna have to refactor everything. Because I'm obviously gonna have to import. But I think at the end of the day it's probably better this way. Because then I have more control over the physics engine. Like, because there might be stuff in the future that I want to do. So having the library locally allows me to change a bunch of things, and that way I can gradually change a bunch of stuff in case I need it. I'm gonna make a list of the stuff that I'm using here so I can import everything there. And then I'm probably gonna have to refactor a bunch of stuff in the library because the way the library is structured is not meant to be used this way, I think. Gravity is on the engine. Yeah, but my head's definitely more on how to solve the rendering cycle, figure out how it works, how does the effects change the rendering, the mounting and the mounting of components, and how to make the custom reconciler work inside of a functional component. That's more what I'm thinking about now. I think that's it. Oh, the problem is that they're gonna be on different files. So maybe I can do an index here and then import everything. Or export everything. Should I do the index or should I just import from the specific files? I think I'm gonna try to just gonna import from the specific files from now. So I have bodies. This factory. Actually, I'm gonna do engine first. I'm gonna do in the order that is there. Yeah, now that I think about it, maybe it fucks up. It's the same name here. Hmm. And the easiest thing to do is just change the name of the component. And that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, there's also, yeah, but I think changing matter all over the file is not very good. Because maybe it fucks up something else, but I think I can use the find and replace there from VS Code. Just change the just remove the matter from everywhere. I think I'm gonna end up leaving the way that it is, to be honest. Because going back to the way that it was before I made all of this other stuff, I think is not worth it. And then just to improve the visualization and the layout, I think I would have to do that. Because the version that is deployed at least is working. And then if I deploy the one that I have here, is gonna mess up the event listeners on the nodes. So I think I'm just gonna leave it the way that it is now. And then I continue to work on studying React source code and trying to understand the custom reconciler. Then only once I figure this stuff out, then I can continue to focus on the other stuff. But my mind is 100% like focused on how to solve the custom React reconciler thing. Oh, actually, I think that's done. The body. Oh, maybe I can do here. I can do as Okay, it doesn't work. World. And then I don't need to change the name of the component. I think, yeah, here. No matter. There you go. Oh, is the same name, so maybe it's confusing to do it like this. The problem is using mouse here. Yeah, maybe it could be the way that I'm importing, or it could be the code, the issue. Okay, so how can I do this thing? Hmm. Yeah. And the problem is if I do like this, then I can use the alias here. I think I would not even, my mind's not focused on that. So I just want to solve the other stuff first. That's what I want to focus on. So I think I'm just gonna leave it the way that it is there for the demo day presentation. And I think that I'm gonna end up applying again probably, because I think that at the end of the day it's probably worth it, regardless of like how far you can go, because I'm gonna be able to do it. But the thing is, like, what concerns me is that I might hit a point that like is one of these challenges again where I'm gonna feel forced to try to do something just to make the update instead of studying the stuff that I need to study to understand. That's the biggest problem. So, but I think I might apply it and then just focus on studying regardless, and then just accept that if I face a very big block, then I'm not gonna be able to do the updates. But I think that's fine. I think, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm gonna have to think. I think it also depends a lot on how far I'm able to go, how far I'm able to study until the next, until they have the next one. And also, I'm not 100% sure if they, I believe they would accept me again because I've been a part of the other ones, but there's always a chance. Also, always a chance that they can reject me for whatever reason. So, yeah. I think overall it makes sense to apply because it pushes you further. But for my point, I'm not sure if it makes sense or not. For my place, because I need to understand how these things work, and I'm not really sure how long it's gonna take for me to understand them. It's mainly, I think that like the biggest challenges are the custom Reactor compiler and the interpreters and compilers. Those are the things that I think is very unpredictable to know how, if I'm gonna face any challenges that I'm gonna have to spend like 2 or 3 weeks just studying the stuff so I understand how it works. And if this is the thing, this is the reason why it sucks, because I also don't wanna like diminish what they are doing as well, like, because like I want them to succeed. So and they succeed if the people that they are going through the program succeed. So that's the other thing. So yeah, because if you face a challenge then like this, and then like you spend 3 weeks just studying and you don't do you don't do anything to improve it, then like you're not able to do as much, and then your thing gets kind of shitty, and then it diminishes the overall credibility that they have, let's say, because then people will start losing respect for the program. That's the problem. So I definitely don't want to I think this is the biggest concern that I have, like applying and then facing the challenge and then not being able to do anything about it, because then I have to spend a bunch of time studying. So but I'm gonna think a lot about this, and hopefully I study a lot, and then by the point that I have the next one, I'm able to apply. But yeah, it's definitely very good. Like if anyone is watching this and thinking about applying, I highly recommend, because it's gonna help you grow a lot, even if you fail. So I'm probably gonna end up applying again. So yeah, but we'll see what happens. I think next time that I stream, I'm gonna continue to study the React source code and trying to figure why I'm having the problem here with the rendering of the custom React reconciler. So